Hello, I'm Tom Robb from the Extensive Reading Foundation. Today, we're going to talk about how to obtain suitable reading material for your students. Well, if you have a budget and a source of books, then there's no problem. You don't need this video, so you can just go on to the next one if you wish. However, if you have problems due to a lack of funds, no place to purchase books, or you require online material, then keep watching this video. I hope we have something here to help you. Here are some tips for how to obtain reading material for your students. Of course, if you have a budget and a source of books, then there's actually no problem. However, if you have problems due to a lack of funds, no place to purchase books, you require online material, then please keep watching. I hope we have some ideas that will help you. So here are some tips for obtaining books. First, you can ask your administration or the school board if any funds are available for an experiment in extensive reading. The ER Foundation has many documents that you can use to support your case. Assuming that books are available in bookstores, ask each student or the parents of the students to purchase one or two each from a list of suitable books that you prepare. And of course, it might help if you ask the students what kind of books they like before you go and purchase the books. If this works, at the end of the year, you can ask them to donate the books to you for a class library for future classes, assuming that they don't really want to read them again. Here are some more tips. If your school has a library, ask if it is possible to purchase some readers for the school. You can guarantee that they will be well used, and that will make the librarians very happy. Because librarians often welcome extensive reading books because they bring traffic to the library in an age where students can get most of their information that they need on the internet. Now, if you're at a university, most universities have a reserved book section where they stock at the teacher's request books that the students are not required to buy, but must read some sections of. Sometimes this budget is underutilized, so it's relatively easy to get the library to purchase the books. Here are some other possibilities. Ask for donations from your social networking system colleagues. Check with the embassy representatives from English-speaking nations like the UK or the United States. They often have a budget for promoting English or literacy. With a group of teachers in other areas, not just your school, request an English language specialist to deliver training sessions in multiple locations. Check with the American Regional English Language Office, RELO for short, for further information on this. Generally speaking, an English specialist has to be in the country for 10 working days, so you need to set up a schedule of possible places for the person to speak. Now, if you're lacking funds, it's a very common problem, especially when you're just a single teacher who is attempting to do extensive reading because you don't get much support from your school. But once the administration sees the value of extensive reading and includes it in the curriculum, then doors will open. See the separate video that we have prepared on how to establish an extensive reading curriculum in your school for tips on how to do this. But if you currently are doing it by yourself, here are some more tips. How to get reading material. Ask the students if they have any English books at home. Ask them to bring them in. Ask the parents via letter that the students bring home to donate a specific sum of money or to purchase 2 books from a list that you provide. Of course, you will need to have a clear rationale, and perhaps will need to clear this with your school administration first so you don't get into hot water with them, because they may say, "Hey, why did you do that without our permission?" Well, there is more than just books. There's a lot of material online. Find suitable material on the internet and print it out. Be sure that it's copyright free. We don't want to infringe on somebody else's hard work without being sure that they get proper payment. But if it's copyright free, it means you have no problem in this regard. If it's possible, laminate the sheets or print spare copies for future use because they will get worn out rather quickly. You can bring down the level of the material by changing the words that you identify as too difficult. there'll be more about this in a separate video. So here are two sites that have a wealth of material that you can use. These are the Voice of America and the British Council, both which have very thorough sites. So here is a Voice of America site, the intermediate level, showing some of the video topics that they have, and the topics also have transcripts. Here is one about the destruction of the Amazon. And here is the beginning of the text. Now here is an audio feature of Voice of America. If you click on the menu on the right that says Audio Menu, and then you will find a series of panels that look like this. One that I chose here is American Stories, classic short stories that introduce American literature to intermediate English learners. And you can see there are quite a few different stories here. And here's a sample just from Dr. Heidegger's Experiment by Nathaniel Horn. And this text is read very, very slowly, so students should be able to understand it if they just listen, or of course they can read, they can do one and then the other, but it's a very useful activity. Now this is from the British Council site. It offers this level test which your students can take. Of course, it's an individual activity. You can't see the results for all the students because the students have not registered. So after you find the level, then you can search for suitable content, or your students can search for suitable content. You can, of course, capture any of this, copy it, and print it out without any violation of the rules of the British Council. So you can choose the appropriate level, what kind of section you want, speaking, listening, reading, writing, and this list goes on longer and longer. And you can see that it offers material at 4 different suffer levels. And then there's a wealth of topics like this. And this is just the beginning down to the middle of the B's, and it goes all the way down to Z. So rest assured, you can find material here that your students will be interested in, and hopefully it'll be at the correct level for them. And here is their site for kids. They have 3 sites, one for kids, one for teens, and one for adults. And this is the reading practice site. And you can click on each of these tabs here to go to different sections. And as you can see down here, there's a level filter. You can choose level 1, level 2, or level 3 material. Here's one at one of the levels, and this you can copy and paste. There's also the answers which you can copy as well. And here is an article about bullying. This is at their level 3. And here is something in the adults area. This is how to read a British train ticket. Of course, they have regular readings as well, but this is a rather special one that I thought might be useful as an activity for your students. Well, online sites can have quite a few different kinds of problems that you need to be aware of. If there's no student registration or tracking, that means that you will not have an easy way to check what the students have done. You will have to ask them to write a report or keep a log of what they have done. So the site might be useful for you to gather material which you copy and print to distribute on paper to the students, but you can't have the students go there directly. Very often they say free, but when you look, there's only a sample or two of something which you can use for free, and everything else is under a paywall. You have to pay in order to get to it. The material is free for online access, but not for making printed copies. That's also rather common. The material is targeted to native-speaking children, so it has vocabulary, idioms, and cultural references that our students would not understand. The material is old, out-of-copyright material from, say, the 19th century or even the 20th century that is stale. So there's out-of-style language and outmoded cultural references in it. So what other kind of online resources are there? Well, the Well, we can classify them into a number of different types. There are free sites, and then there are paid sites, of course. Inside the free sites, however, there can be some that are sponsored by an organization that is concerned with reading and literacy, such as the British Council or Voice of America. And if they have a big budget, like those two, then they can pay authors for quality material. If they have a small budget, then they're going to have reprints of material that's available for free elsewhere. And very often the material is of lower quality because a professional writer or a professional teacher is not going to spend a lot of effort creating something for free. Then there are freelance sites. The owner relies on advertisements or advertisements, as the British would say, for the content. Now, if the material looks like it's high quality and it's free, but there are no advertisements, be aware the content is probably pirated. So our own ethics and those of our school tell us to shun them. We need to avoid them, even if the material looks like it would be useful for our students, because it's illegal. Then, of course, there are paid sites, and these can have very high quality, and they are best if they allow for student registration. Here are just two sites that I found that do have useful material for free. You can see this one does have an advertisement here, ABC Fast Phonics, but it actually is rather good. It has stories for free for young children, older children, and adults. And it's a little out of date. You can't use HTTPS to get it. So if you try to access the site, your browser might tell you it's dangerous, but actually it is okay. It's just a little outdated. And here is one story, The Little Gingerbread Man. And this is the beginning of the story, and it has some illustrations like this, and it looks like a rather interesting story, and there are more of them. So this is one site that you might be able to use. And here's another one, ESL Fast. This one has a lot of very short readings for low-level learners, and then it has higher level ones like this. This one is rather long. And you can see that it also has advertisements, which are annoying, but that's what makes it free. And this one also has audio, so you can have the students both listen to it and read it independently or together. And here are the links, and these links are on our ER MOOC page at the bottom. And that's all for this session. I hope you find it useful. Goodbye.